Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jaynky the Max, a podcast where we talk to inspiring creators and the fascinating projects that they create. Today on the show with me is my fantastic genius of a co-host, Glavin.
Hello, everyone. Glad to have you all here to listen.
Today on the show, we're going to be interviewing Apt on his work with Scoreboard and web applications. It's going to be really fascinating. Before we get into that, a little bit of housekeeping. All these episodes are recorded in the Jaynky DIY Discord server. You can ask questions. We record on there. It's a great place. If you aren't on there already, you should totally hop on. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Pocket Cast, just about everywhere you get podcasts. So like, subscribe, whatever the thing is there that you do to show support. That is my alarm. Sorry about that, everyone. Today on the show we have Apt. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
So, right off the box, the question I like right off the box. Wow. For the start, I like to ask just a general, how does it work? Explain your setup. Give us the big picture.
Well, I guess I should start out right away how it started, because that's kind of like building up to it was the best part about it. So it started out with I was a server just at a restaurant, and a nice pool hall in the back side of the restaurant, 10 or 11 tables. So there was this big tournament coming up, 128 people, and they were all pumped to stream it to Facebook, because streaming is just becoming bigger and bigger. This happened about 2 years ago now, I think. Maybe it's almost getting there, 3 years now. But streaming's getting so much easier. People are just going with their phones and streaming whatever. So they were planning on, just attaching their phone to the ceiling and streaming the pool table, right? Me coming from computers my whole life, I had experience in OBS. I'm like, hey, I can set this up. And they're like, maybe next time, and I'm like, well, it's actually real simple. I'll set it up. You can keep doing your thing. I'll set it up. And I had 3-4 cameras set up, and I had a GoPro, some old webcams, and a phone running an IP cam app to send the feed over. So I had 4 cameras going, and they were all garbage cameras. The GoPro, if you know, it records great, but it does not stream very well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can stream it with a little hack on it, and it streams at 240p or something like that. But it's smooth. So I actually did use that camera for one of the main side cams, and then I had an overview cam and another overhead cam. So it was real cool to switch through those cameras and make a production out of it with these horrible cameras. And that's actually still on our YouTube channel. If you can go find it somewhere in the Mad Apple streaming, that is what it's called. But it's funny because we've progressed a lot since then. And it was because of that tournament that we had so much success with. I still haven't had the numbers of that night. At 1:30 in the morning, we had over 100 people watching, and it was turnout, big tournament, everything. So it was a lot of fun. And since then, it's taken off. He built a tournament director booth, but then also built me a section in it. So from there, I built a computer to automate the streaming. So I built up a Arch Linux system that I can automate everything with bash scripts. So I did that, and every morning the stream starts up at 10 and shuts off at night, and it's just a super awesome setup now. And now I'm getting into cameras and what's better, where to go, different formats of technologies. But the whole custom stack was built up, ground up as we went along.
Wow, that is no small feat there. One of the things that I think is really fascinating is that you actually have it all in-house. So you not only is the hardware, and from your end you all set up, but you also have a website that you also did completely DIY,
so,
right?
I had my VPS already rented out for my personal website, mypersonal.com. So I just made that a multiple domain redirect, and then built the Nginx RTMP module on top of that. And I don't know, it all just came together.
That's pretty great. What were some of the biggest problems and challenges you had?
a current one I'm actually having that I need to get through is we want more cameras, but we've got like a 10 megabytes upload, right? But when you think about the feeds, I want all of these feeds being uploaded, right? So I can send a FFmpeg script of 720p or 1080p, wherever I want at a certain bit rate. So if you do the math on that, I hit 10 megabytes upload pretty quick with only a few feeds, I believe anyway. So I'm trying to find a way of how to get more feeds sent to the website, you know?
Yeah.
Because bandwidth is a very limiting factor for me that I did not think about getting into this and saying, yeah, we can hook up 10, 15 cameras.
Yeah, that's a very interesting problem. And I bet, does the restaurant also offer Wi-Fi to its customers?
It does, but I think that's a separate internet. I think there are 2, like, modem boxes going in, so does anybody know it? If you have a limit of modem boxes, maybe we can just bring in another one, right? How many times can we connect to the...
Well, that entirely depends. Is the cameras connected through Ethernet, or is it wireless?
I've been thinking about going to wireless, but they are Ethernet right now.
Yeah, because if you had... I was part of an event where... it was like
that's a lot of traffic, yeah, in the
air.
air.
Box tournament, and yeah, because they had everyone like shut off the internet, which sucked because I was stuck there for like, I think it was 12 hours, almost 12 hours. No internet. It was miserable. But yeah, if it's wireless, then you might have to look into that issue.
I actually do have an issue that's popping up every once in a while. It's like an encoding issue or something right now that I gotta work out too. Every once in a while the video gets like choppy. It's either the encoding, CPU can't keep up, or like the delay function in OBS might be failing. So every once in a while the video has a choppiness, a stutter to it. But right now it's actually good. So it just happens every once in a while. I gotta work that one out too. So issues do pop up all the time. You gotta figure out what it is, but that's part of the job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What were some things you like? Obviously, like when you came into this, how much did you know versus how much do you know? Like,
well, I knew a lot about streaming and web development because I was always in those 2 things, so that wasn't too new to me. But the cameras and the video and all of the technological things about those and the encodings about them, I got really into it, and all of that I wouldn't have without it, without the push to needing better cameras and understanding what's going on with these cameras.
Yeah, definitely. Isn't another aspect of your project that you worked on? So, I think the fascinating thing about
there's so many parts of it. Yeah, another great part was the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So you saw me building a physical scoreboard. It took me like a month or 2. I got into electrical engineering with the 7-segment displays, and what was the other thing called, where you bring a whole bunch of points into one central thing, and then it's being able to use multiple 7-segment displays. So it's funny because I don't even remember the name of this part that it took so long to learn how to use, and it was amazing. And once I got that working, so I had physical push buttons, score up, score down, the race up number, because in pool when you're in a match setting, it's a race to. It's not like a best of 5. It's a race to 3. So it's whoever gets to that 3rd win first. So you do because it just comes up in handicaps. So if some person's way better than the other, they have a race to 3, and then the other person has a race to 5 or 6. So they have to play a lot more and win a lot more. It's mainly for the handicap. So I had to build the custom scoreboard around that. So scores up, scores down, and the race numbers. And then right when I got that, like to the very end of being completed, the whole time I did want to make it digital. I'm like, why are we doing this? But he wanted to put it in boss size. He wanted to put it into the pool table, have it be like a smart pool table. And I'm like, let's just have a tablet on next to every table. He said, all right, finally, after this month or 2 of learning all this electrical engineering, he gives me the go on making it. digital, so I stopped the MQTT server or whatever it is, and started learning Dart and Flutter, and that's app development. So I completely just 180, went to a different section, spent a day or two in that because I knew I could pump it out easy. So I whipped something out in a day or two and plugged the scoreboard on the wall, took some pictures, and it was good to go. I really haven't touched it since, but I'm going to now that I'm adding another table. So we're going to have 2 scoreboards, and then eventually have more scoreboards for all the tables so that I can have an automated tournament set up. So when a tournament's going, everybody gets assigned their table. They go there. Their names are already there. They just score up, score down. When it hits the end, it confirms, boom, sends it back, all automated. So that's kind of like the end
Wow.
of the roadmap.
That's really cool. So you no longer using the hardware scoreboard that you used with like the display and everything, but you changed from that to building an app.
Yep. And the easiest, quickest way I could find was Flutter and Dart. I think it's kind of newer technologies, but I'm not too sure on that. I just spent the weekend on it, got what I needed out of it. I plan on going back, but I just, like I said, I'm jumping all over from area to area where
That reminds me of that meme, where Iron Man walked. Since when were you an expert in quantum mechanics? Last night.
Yeah, exactly. But that's probably most of the fun for me is just jumping into something brand new.
Oh yeah, and if you have that reason, this is why I always stress project-driven development. If you have the reason, if you have a goal or something, even if you think it's crazy and impossible, like building a mech or a giant scoreboard.
Right. I love that guy for doing that. That's so awesome. Look at those pictures and just jaw drop.
I know.
So,
it's
kudos
so,
to you, man.
Yeah. No, I think he's moving on in a couple of weeks. That you definitely guys want to tune in for that one. But enough of that.
Super awesome.
So, when you were building the app, I guess that wasn't too hard for you since you already had a strong web development presence.
Yeah, and I've even had some more in-depth programming experience too. When I did try to get into app development quite a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when Unity was getting pretty big, it was actually right when the Flappy Bird was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I made a custom Flappy Bird clone, the same idea, but it's called Pigeon, and you had to dodge the Alka-Seltzer pills. And it was a great learning experience. And then I remember getting into Python even before that, and a module on there, a library. It's called Pygame. So I made a slot machine game with that. And that was actually one of the most intense things I've ever done, because if you know Pygame at all, that's refreshing the screen with your own loop, and you design your functions to display what's going to be refreshed onto the screen. So it teaches you a lot about, how stuff is being displayed to a screen.
Yeah. I bet that first you the really nitty-gritty. Say, I still, to this day, I have no clue how Flappy Bird became so popular.
It was a part of the time when the market was still young. The games would come and go, and it wasn't nobody had like the big conglomerates of big game developers. They didn't own the market yet. So a lot of indie developers were able to get to the top of the page, and then they would fall off. So this was happening for a bunch of different games, and Flappy Bird got really big, really fast. And then what kicked it into gear was the guy getting death threats and then taking it off of the market, and people still wanting to play it. So that's kind of why it was the legacy it is now. But
didn't he get death threats after he took it off, or did he get death threats before?
Before, it was people who couldn't, they would rage induced from the game. They would send them emails.
What?
It was like a broken jump function in the game, and it was very difficult. And yeah, people got pissed.
I mean, that's classic internet, right? Like, if you take a large enough amount of people, you're going to get the crazies.
And I don't know, he could have done something with it, but he didn't. He took it off and became a meme.
I mean, I think there's something to say to quitting while you're ahead and not keep going well past your prime. You know.
Well, it was a free game though, so I don't think he turned it into a profit venture. He took it off and didn't make anything off it, or he could have made.
I heard he made something around 50,000. I want to say a week or a month or something. I mean, a lot of money in its prime. I think simply through ads. I believe. I remember hearing that there was some way he got money. It wasn't
I didn't know that. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was benefiting from that. But yeah, that was just one of something that always just kind of puzzled me because it seemed like I don't know. There's so many more interesting, fun games than hitting a space bar waiting for a bird. I guess in some ways it's an archetypal parody of so many, the pointlessness of so many mobile games today that are just elaborate Skinner boxes.
Yeah. Another thing that scares me about even publishing is the rip-off clones. They'll take a program and just rip it off and use different assets. Republish your thing, but better.
You're breaking up.
Oh.
Hold on. Is everything...
Should be good.
Okay. Good. Wait, what were you saying?
Not sure. Where did I cut out?
Oh, about the rip-off clones of apps.
Oh, yeah. So they would just take the same idea of an app and publish the same thing with different assets, different graphics, and advertise it better than the original.
Right, because they can have the budget and the focus
exactly.
to do that. Yeah, I've heard China. That's why if you make a product, I've heard. I haven't checked this out, but any high-end product that any company new innovation that comes out here, someone in China can replicate that in 2 weeks and have it on the market for a tenth of the price.
Yeah, so one way to get around that, I've heard of many different ways. One way is have a key that it contacts the server for this key. If the key doesn't match, the app won't work, right? So then you just change the key throughout.
Yeah. There's that. I remember when I was getting into drones, the flight controllers would have something very similar to that, where you'd have to enter in some special code that you only got with the packet, so you wouldn't get some knockoff clone. Yeah, that's fun. So, are there any outside of this massive sprawling streaming service or streaming pool service, I guess? Are you working on any other projects?
Kind of. It's still along the same pool niche. What do you? How do you?
I always mix them up. You're wrong either way.
Perfect. So it's kind of in the same area because I've met a lot of people, and somebody had a great idea I kind of wanted to collaborate with, and so everybody to find a pool tournament right now just resorts to Facebook. That's the only thing there is across the country for pool tournaments. A lot of people look at pool tournaments, but some people make a poster and post it to Facebook, and then there's no compiled area for all of this data of these tournaments coming up. So I just wanted to make a simple app, app or website that is a zip code, city finder, find all your tournaments in the area, let people upload them, just let the users run the site, just by uploading, and have it all be, what's the word for just running itself? But
automated.
A central location, a hub for all of the tournaments in your area or in my area. So that's another side project going on too.
Right on. So, how long do you think it'll take before you really get into getting that going full swing?
Oh, you know as good as I do.
It's one of those things. It's like you plan for it, but then you never really know.
Yeah, and I kind of got a foothold in it, and I just got to get down to it. But this main project is kind of just taking over all of this.
Nice. It's definitely, I can definitely tell, like, the fun that you have when you try and get into a project and you have all these new unknowns that you're getting into, but then, like, you start seeing the success start rolling.
You can't even go back because you don't even have time.
One of our viewers had a question. Did you have a deadline and any support from anyone to build this entire system?
I had great support from my boss, and he's always pushing for deadlines, but it's not so much as like a set deadline, as can we just get this done as soon as possible. And I'm working as hard as I can, but it's one man on a whole bunch of different areas. So I'm going to different phases, and this next phase is actually a lot of work because I do have to get the bracket generator completed so I can make a tournament bracket with depending on how many people are in it, and then run all that data through it. As far as the support goes, my boss, he will buy me whatever I need to get this going. I needed a stream computer. Well, what do we need to get that going? Well, I have some parts. We need some better parts. So we'll put something together, through it together. Need some cameras. What do you need? How much? So it's come a long way with his help. And he's got some ideas too, so it's not all of my ideas.
Gotcha.
It was his ideas too.
Do you think you'll get to a point where you'll need like a second hand to be able to help, like an assistant to help you out with this?
I hope so. Definitely, the plan is to build this up enough so that we can build it up in other places. And at that point,
Right on. So, what other places do you think you kind of have like any idea of like what other places you want to expand to, like other types of tournaments, perhaps?
Yeah, it's so open ended because we actually just had a state tournament in our place for darts. So there's a dart league tournament, and I've done a state tournament for foosball too. So those are all kind of along the same like bar sports, I guess you would say, but it doesn't have to be limited to that too. I've done a press conference kind of thing where it's a yearly conference. So it could be anything as far as live streaming and video production goes, And one thing that we have that other people don't have is the multicast. Because it's the custom RTMP server, I can cast the same stream or whatever stream I want to wherever I want all at the same time. So right now I actually have this tournament that's going on this weekend streamed to YouTube as well as streamed to my website at the same time. It's the same feed. I decided not to turn on the Facebook feed because I have to do a little work on the secure tunnel for that. Facebook doesn't allow an RTMP. They allow an RTMPS. You need that security layer.
Gotcha. Another one of our viewers asked, do you have any ideas for partnerships after you get this project really up and going?
Not really ideas as far as just hoping for the best. Like I said, it's super open-ended. Whatever comes to us, whatever we want to do, we'll do.
Nice. And then, where can listeners go to learn a little bit more, kind of what resources you kind of was going through to be able to build this project, or to hear something more about it?
In my project in general, I guess just Mad Apple streaming anywhere.com or Facebook or YouTube. I just keep trying to post more and more about it as I come across new things. But then also here, I post most of my stuff I do right to the Jaynky DIY. Just as far as learning, if you want to learn how to do these kind of things, if that was any part of the question, Google and Stack Overflow, just wanting to learn. You can learn so asking questions too. Don't be afraid to ask other people. You'll come across the people who don't want to teach you and send you away, but there's 5 people who do want to teach you compared to that one.
So true. I definitely had that experience a lot with like in the electronics engineering area. Just like people have like some questions, actually know like a good bit getting into it, but just like kind of need a little bit of help with this, that, and the other. So it's always a joy to be able to help someone that is has that hunger for knowledge and really wants to be able to do something with the knowledge that they're getting.
Definitely.
Hey, I'm back.
All right, and Jay has returned. Seems like he was having a little bit of technical issues on his end.
Yeah, I see my battery is completely dead, and I accidentally jiggled the power cord, and then like completely shut down. So sorry about that. What did I miss?
So we were just talking about his project, how different resources that you can, or where to hear more about his project.
Oh, yes.
And then answering a few questions in the chat.
Yeah, any other questions? I didn't know we had a live.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all I see right now in the chat. So, Jay, back to you.
Oh gosh. Well, yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Getting wild over there.
I know. All right, so let me add this little folder up in here. Let me see here. Loading. I completely messed up my my train of thought.
I bet.
I want to see the recording just to see what happened. All right. So yeah, yeah. How did you start in this? And like, people had something similar. Like they went to create like an app, web service, that sort of stuff. Like what tutorials, what sort of. I don't know if we covered that already, but.
Depends. Like I said, basically just Google. If you can problem solve, you could do this. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as.
Yeah. It reminds me of that. What is it? The meme, where is it? Oh, I think someone posted it in Quora. Why should I pay like $100K for a full-time developer when I could just copy code off of Stack Overflow? And someone responded and was like, finding the code on Stack Overflow, $1. Knowing which code to copy.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of knowledge that comes with it too. It's not just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the best part, I think, though, is if you start ground up and you start learning your own way, you're going to do it maybe the same way, but probably different. And the different way might even be better than my way, too. Oh, so yeah. I don't want to point you in the direction that will give you limitations where you can go make something in a different framework that will work 10 times better, and then I want to copy you.
I like that. That's a good philosophy. When I first started like websites, web development, I kid you not, I was writing websites in Nano, which is
I started in Notepad. This was before anything, 1998.
Yeah. yeah. We all started as like super basic editors, like absolute basics. I would like copy paste for every new page, or just copy paste code, mess stuff up. Oh, there's got to be a better way to do this. Now I'm almost giving myself permission to use a CMS like WordPress or a Webflow. I'm almost there simply because, like, of just time. Because using, even if you use SAS or some use like precompiled languages, not precompiled, pre-processing languages, like I know there's one for HTML. Even if you use like those and Bootstrap and all that stuff, it still takes bit more time than it would to just drag and drop on Webflow, even if it is less efficient. I'm getting stuck on a tangent now.
Yeah.
I like my tangent.
I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree and say death to all of the website, but it's ruining the industry.
Because now just anybody can do it, and they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your take on that? I'm curious. This is a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I really don't like them. I've done even a WordPress site for somebody because they already had one started. They wanted me to work on it, and that was even when security was really, really bad. Maybe they've gotten better since then, but from what I've known, there's always been vulnerabilities in WordPress. I mean, when you're talking about the plugins in your system, your WordPress, you gotta make sure it's all up to date and all the versions, and then one little plugin doesn't want to update, so do you stay there or do you go up and choose a different plugin? So there's a lot of things there with dependencies and version control or whatever, and security flaws that I'm scared about with WordPress. But if I don't know, if you're not so scared, then go right ahead. But I do recommend not doing that, and then do go pay a developer who went to school for it and loves doing it.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you have a similar take on it, Glavin?
I think that you definitely get something that's a little bit more tailored to your specific needs if you actually have a real developer doing something. And that way they're, especially one that, like Apps was saying, is well knowledged in the field of the web development, then they're going to be able to know all of these security vulnerabilities that they need to watch for and to be able to implement that into your website where they have a lot better security and it's just what you need for your website without having a bunch of extra stuff that just doesn't need to be there.
I even know of a web firm that they make websites with WordPress. So I know that it's even used in like whatever you don't want to say, an actual firm where they get paid lots of money to make websites for people. They just set up a WordPress site and manage it, but yeah, it's used.
Yeah. No, for me, what's a killer is, I mean, all that stuff you said is absolutely spot on. But another thing is the speed. Like there's just so much unnecessary garbage that comes with it. Like,
Bootstrap too, if you use full Bootstrap, that's going to have a lot of garbage in it. But nowadays, you just pick up the stuff you want in Bootstrap and it compiles.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, yeah. Like, was it Purge CSS? There's like some NPM package and you can get that. We'll remove all the unused rules. But like, okay, I checked out a website. It was static. Nothing, like, there was nothing too dynamic or moving, not much JS, at least in theory, there shouldn't have been. I went to check it on Google Page Speed Insights, which I think is now Lighthouse, and it got a score of 19 out of 100. 19! I mean,
that's funny.
I don't even know how you can get a website that low. I mean, the lowest I've gotten mine is maybe 40 or 50 before optimization, but no, I don't like them, but I can at the same time I can understand it. I mean, especially like a mom and pop business or a family shop, where they just need some web presence, and even if you got a beautiful, fantastic website, you're only going to get maybe like 20 extra customers a week.
Right.
Like, is it really worth them going out and finding, someone who can actually do a good job and do it?
The question then to you is, are they selling products on that website or holding information confidential where they need security? Because in that case, then you do need to hire somebody if you have security.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because you do not want that stuff.
And then there's the argument of, well, if you do it yourself, you'll be limited to the extra X customers. But if you let somebody else do it, they are very, very good at it. You know,
Mhm.
you can do it good, but they can do it better. And what
Right.
can you get from that better? You know, is everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was listening to a video Brett sent to me. It was really good. Essentially about pricing for web design stuff. And
To me, I need to learn how to price my stuff.
it is
The thing I'm really bad at is the business side of everything. I just want to sit there and type.
same here, man. Like, yeah, I have a terrible time asking people for money. Even though I absolutely deserve it, I
Right.
still have such a hard time.
I can't even get myself to ask for it. Still can't.
It's hard. No, and then this video is you're gonna love it. Maybe I'll even put a link in the show notes. The rest you can see. But part of his thing was look at it from their perspective. So like I'm gross paraphrasing of it. Go through the numbers and ask them all these different questions, and to see like how much of a profit you're going to be helping generate for that company, right? Because if say for example they make 45% of their sales on an e-commerce site, right? And since e-commerce, since it's direct to consumer, at least we're assuming this situation, since it's direct to consumer, you're going to have the most margins, right? You're not having to pay for sales reps, you're going to have to pay for like a retail location, right? So e-commerce is like the most profitable way, right?
Yeah.
So if you can bump that by, say, redesigning it, rebuilding it, if you can bump that up by like 2%, okay, you're golden. Like you can charge so much money, and they're if you put it in the right way, you're going to get that money because they're getting a return on that investment.
And even if you're in a smaller city and you tone that back a step and you focus on more clients and you just work on these smaller mom and pop shops, you get more clients, you know, you could make a living off of that too and just have a bunch of clients in a small.
Yeah. So then it becomes into I don't know. I've been on the like Upwork, Freelancer, all those sites. First, I think that a lot of them, if not all of them, I'm going to say that very hesitantly, borderline are unethical. And it essentially becomes a race to the bottom. You know, because living in a first world country, things just cost more. You know, I'm not going to spend an hour or so of my time, throwing together a layout and submitting it to one of these like contests. And then the client may or may not pick me. And if he does pick me, he's probably one of those cheapskates, since he posted it on here, is gonna, haggle about the already way too low price, because you're competing with, like, if you go for like, I'm so much less expensive. If you go for that,
You're getting the cheaper people.
yeah, you're competing with, someone from India or someone from a third world country, and they just they can make less money and still survive, and
But you just can't do that in a first world country, though.
Right.
And that's another thing that I've run into, even with my company, is like trying to compete with cheaper bidders. Like, we can't really make our product much cheaper and still survive. So instead, we just focus on the fact that we are a superior service, we're a superior product, and that's what people are wanting. So that's why we charge a higher price.
And people feel like they get something better if they pay more for it. It's
Okay.
Well, yeah, or in some cases, they actually do get something that's a lot better than just
Well,
going
even
with
if it's the
cheapest bidder.
same thing, if you pay it, like that's the test is if you get the same exact thing but you paid more for it, you feel like when you paid more for it, it's a better thing, even though it's the same.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I got what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, like imagine if you submitted a proposal for building a $2 million app, okay, for some company. If someone was paying you that kind of money, like you could hire top tier designers, you could hire, you might not be personally worth
Right,
or
right.
$2 million. But the thing is, you'll be able to have access to a whole new tier of services and
Yeah.
and abilities that some guy who charges $20 for a website just can't compete with. And if he can compete with it, that's amazing. Yeah.
$15 a month custom RTMP over a digital load. And a lot of work.
Yeah. No, that's why people careful of the. I hear stories of people being able to make it on like Upwork and Freelancer. I'm not sure if any of you have had any experience.
I've
with that.
known one person who lived off of freelancers' websites. Didn't live very well. Had some struggling months, but he had some good months too. So
yeah, so see, that's what I hear. I hear that some people can make it, and other people can't. I don't like how they force you to do everything in their apps. Like you can't like move the conversation out. Like you have to talk on their app. You have to do business on their app. I think with Upwork, you can't even like reveal like phone numbers or the actual like personal names of the people you're working with.
Oh wow.
And then they obviously take a cut out of everything. And but honestly, what stopped me from getting an account is that you have to have a verified account, and to do that, you have to take a picture of your passport and like other ID. And I'm like, I don't need that on the internet. I don't care where you store that. I don't care how secure that database is. I do not want that on there. Unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, database work. I recently got into that again too.
Ooh, fun.
I was asking you for a little help through that, but I made it through. Got the sign up and login form. And that's actually been haunting me for years, but it wasn't too.
Like learning database management?
Yeah. And I connected the PHP to it, and just not so much doing it, but doing it the right way and securely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part about it, was knowing that it's secure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was one of the things when I was looking at PHP. I was actually doing something similar. I mean, not on your scale at all. But what hit me was just like especially when you're cleaning data for the tables, like
right.
all the stuff you have to look out for, and all the.
Makes you want to go try on some other websites, doesn't it?
I know. Did you see the XKCD comic I posted?
It's my favorite one. Every time I'm working on it, I think about it. Bobby Tables.
Yes.
Sweet little Bobby Tables. I love it. I still think about it as I'm working on it. Every time it's a back.
It's so beautiful.
You should make sure you link that one in the description.
I think it's the greatest comment.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to work in back when I was doing computer hacking stuff. I was actually working with companies and there's a lot of issues with their databases that I had to help them with.
Yeah.
And that was being one of them, just having sanitized databases where you're not accidentally dropping things or storing any information in plain text.
Wow. I think they care about that stuff, but I guess not.
Well, they cared, they just didn't know at the time that was something that they needed to do. So once I pointed it out to them and showed them how I can completely destroy their system with just a few keystrokes, they're like, "Oh, we'll take care of that pronto."
That's amazing. No, might add, for those of the listeners who are concerned, it's ethical hacking.
Yes.
Not illegal kind.
White hat hacking. So the company would hire me to come in there and look at their system.
But somebody else doesn't do it without, they're going to do it trying to get in. We're going to do it just to say, hey,
you have a problem and this is what needs to be done to fix it. So that way someone can't come in there and actually do some sort of malicious intent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very, very useful service.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, you don't realize how useful it is until you get us in there. Or someone actually gives you a problem and, scrubs your database or hacks your system.
I'd probably think about take a swim. I need somebody to.
Right.
All right. Gosh, since I have this timer thing that goes on, so I kind of get an estimate. Since it shut down, I kind of lost that data. But I think we should probably wrap this up. Is there other than the Jaynky DIY Discord server, do you have any other tutorials or anything else you've written up, or any social media you want to plug there, apt, or good?
Just find me on here if you want to chat about anything. I was kind of planning on maybe streaming these things that I'm creating every day and doing and making something out of that so everybody can watch.
That'd be cool.
But who knows? So, just come on over to Jaynky and meet us on.
Copy that. Well, I'm glad you guys could come on. Again, if you have not already, follow us, like us, leave a review, and Jaynky to the max.
Jaynky to the max.
Jaynky to the max. Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Jaynky to the Max. If you like it, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And if you want to suggest more projects that we can feature, make sure to comment down below, or even better, join the Discord server in the description. We try to stream live every weekend on the server, so make sure to join and grab the podcast role if you want to be there and see it for yourself. Anyway, make sure to stay Jaynky.